The Australian Financial Complaints Authority is a new single body which is being set up to review any complaints between financial advisors and consumers or their clients, and it will be effective from 1 November this year. Joining me today is Christina Kalantzis to talk about this and other issues happening in that consumer complaints space. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Darin.
So the new body is actually an amalgamation of the three existing bodies. What are they and how will this new body operate?
Well, we don't have the details on how it would operate, but what's happening is that we will have a new external dispute resolution scheme. With that external dispute resolution scheme, where there's some proposals in terms of the monetary values going up and also the compensation caps increasing as well. So currently, if we look at the Financial Ombudsman Service, the monetary limit that they have is they look at complaints where a consumer may have up to $500,000 and they can award up to a maximum of $309. The proposal under this new Australian Financial Complaints Authority is that we're looking at a monetary limit of $1 million, which is an increase of 100%, and we're looking at a maximum award of compensation being $500,000, which we're looking at an increase of 62%. So that's quite a big difference as to what's currently going on at the moment. And it's something new that advisors and Australian financial licensees need to review and consider, and also the PI insurers as well need to look and consider as well.
Now, speaking of consumer complaints, the best interest duty, which was included in the Future of Financial Advice reforms, is now starting to be tested within the courts of law. What are some of the things that you're seeing there, and what are some of the implications that are starting to emerge?
We're getting some interesting cases at the moment, and also from providing expert advice to law firms as well as to what is considered to be in the best interest duty and what does Section 961 actually mean in the advice process. We recently saw in February that a financial services licensee and a responsible manager was awarded penalties of $7.8 million he had to pay in penalties because of breaches of the best interest duty. This now forms precedent. And what I find interesting in the compliance space on best interest duties is everyone has a different opinion and different view as to what that is. What we're trying to highlight to advisors and AFSL licensees who come to this compliance workshop is trying to understand what the best interest duty is and how they can defend that file, whether that be to FOS, whether it be to their own AFSL, whether that be to their client, whether that be to also the Ombudsman Service.
Now, it would be forgivable to think that financial advisors are being attacked from all sides, because obviously there's the Banking Royal Commission, which is happening right now as we speak too. Are you seeing any red flags? I know it's early days yet because it hasn't been going on for a very long time, but are you already seeing any sort of red flags there as far as, you know, consumer complaints and that sort of action? What
I'm seeing from the, and it is early days, but what I'm actually picking up in terms of the complaints that are coming through and the concerns that they have with the Banking Association and the like, and the banks when they give advice, is more about did they act in the best interest of the clients. They're looking at affordability and cash flow, so the advice that was provided to them, specifically in the self-managed super fund space, as well in the life insurance space, did they consider the affordability issues, cash flow issues and depletion of retirement funds? We're also looking at whether or not the products that were provided to them were in their best interests or not. So there's some of the concepts that are coming out that advisors need to be aware of. What research did they undertake? Do they have that research on file to defend their position?
Now, we've just touched on a few things to do with the consumer grievance space at the moment, but you're presenting an event called the Compliance and Risk Management for Advisors event, which is happening on the 3rd of May. You'll be touching on those issues, but are there any other highlights that attendees could look forward to find out a little bit more about these issues?
I think we've got to look at the record-keeping obligations that ASIC requires us to have, and also the AFSLs. We need to look at how do we measure and quantify goals and objectives. How do we scope out the advice as well? Evidencing the compliance file, I think, is important, and it's at the forefront of all complaints at the moment. Also evidencing compliance of the file to your own AFSL. I get a lot of aggrieved advisors telling me that they don't understand how they got certain audit reports for the advice that they provided. We need to understand what the defendable file is. Like I said, with reference to the AFSL, how do we defend the file there? To the Ombudsman Service, the External Dispute Resolution Schemes, to ASIC as well if you're subject to a review and banning order, also to the PI insurer to see whether or not you have coverage, and also to the client.
Okay, thanks Christina. So that's the Compliance and Risk Management Day for Advisors. It's actually a half-day event. It's happening on the 3rd of May in Sydney, and if you would like to find out more about it or register for the event, please visit www.financialobserver.com.au/event. We look forward to seeing you there because this is a bit of a minefield. But I would just like to thank you again for your time today, Christina.
Not a problem. Thank you, Darin.